iPads are useful for their purpose, but they are no substitute for brains.
All right, here we go.
I have to say, well done, Free. Well done. Well played, my adversary. Well played.
Phoenix isn't gay, but if he was, he'd pick Freemo.
Oh yeah, he'd be living down there with you in the bunker, man. Woo!
Once you go free, you always do the Z.
Like one day I'm not going to Duncan, and you could get a controller, a new Xbox, possibly even a cord.
And now here's the gang with the most bang.
Welcome to BGFG episode 403. I'm your host, Chris Phoenix, and joining me, as always, my brother from another mother, Mr. Free Mo Z. How are you doing this week, sir?
Living the dream.
Oh, it's not really a dream for you. It's a nightmare, just like mine.
No, it's a dream.
Oh, really?
Beautiful dream. Yeah, beautiful dreamscape. Crafted by Wes Anderson and Tim Burton.
That would track. That tracks. Both of us. Which is not unfunny. So what's going on this week? Anything exciting?
Oh, you know, the usual.
Oh, that good.
Yeah. You know, when you're immersed in technology, that is your life.
Yes,
Always
yes.
something fun and interesting to deal with.
I've had I had somebody come to my counter that had lost their AirPods and wanted new ones.
Okay.
And I said, well, you don't have any sort of plan that does that. And they're like, yeah, but I bought them here last Christmas.
Okay. Good. Then you're aware that you can purchase some more here.
Right. It took everything in my power not to say that. I'm like, really? So if your car gets stolen, do you just go back to the dealership and go, hey, can you give me another car? That's not the way this works at all, ever. But, you know, people are strange. We get a strange show this week. There wasn't a whole lot of great news, but there's some potential stuff. And I actually already titled the show with, we told you all this before. Because we did tell you all this shit before. Literally. Yeah. Like, I don't know what else how better to explain it. So let's jump into the news. That way we can get right started with, we fucking told you so.
BGFG News. You heard it here third.
So starting off this week is another story about Twitter and Elon. And make no mistake, when we talk about Twitter and Elon Musk, there's a lot of mixed reviews about Elon, and rightfully so. Now, from a geek perspective and from a Gen X perspective, it's hilarious because he trolls everybody all the time. Like it's the old rule of there's no bad publicity, there's only publicity. And Elon is notorious for that. Now, he fired up a rocket, and if you ask any engineer or scientist, the goal, and you know this, Free, the goal is to make mistakes. That's the point of testing. You make mistakes to find out what doesn't work so you can get what works. You take measurements, you take diagnostics. Well, he actually took away some of the baffles. They launched another rocket, Falcon rocket, and they took away some of the baffles for blowback. And it did blow back and they did put some cars nearby just to see what would happen and destroy the cars. But there was people like all around the area, miles away. They were like, I got dust in my closet, you know, shit like that. So lesson learned. But he might be a dick in some cases, but in a lot of other cases, he's trying to move humanity literally forward in a lot of things.
Yeah.
But his whole Twitter thing is, I feel so amusing because you got to feel for him a little bit. Like he made a comment about buying it for X amount of dollars, well, millions of dollars, or billion. Was it billions?
Billions.
Oh, billion.
Yeah, billions.
And he got called out on it, so he had to do it. Since he's been in charge of Twitter, he's kind of trolled people with his account, and he's kind of not.
There ain't no counter to it, man. He's been trolling people on Twitter since way back in the day.
No shit. And the only thing he's done really that kind of bothered me now in the first days of the whole open Twitter, Freebo and I did it on the show where we talked about it, and it was just a lot of hate, a lot of porn, and a lot of hate, a lot of Nazi stuff. But that's all been quelled for the most part. One of the things he did do that I don't agree with, but I understand why, was take away the blue check marks. So I have several Twitter accounts like we all well know. We have the Stick Style account, we have the BGFG account, but I also have like my personal account, and I have a wrestling account, a parody wrestling account. And to have a check mark, especially in a wrestling account, when you're constantly talking about other people, you want to have that check mark. That way you know it's a verified account. And he recently took those away. And that became a problem. There was people that were supposed to pay. We talked about it on the show. There's people that were supposed to pay. Elon decided to pay for like LeBron James and who was it? LeBron James, Stephen King. Yeah, he paid for those accounts. But still, there's really a lot of people that are like, I'm not getting a blue check. And then there's also the pretentious fucking people that are like, I'm gonna take my thousands of followers and I'm gonna move to another social media. Well, you could have, again, you're raising your hand, but I can tell you, yeah, wave by, because if I had if I had 10 followers, no, if I had tens of thousands of followers, I'm not going to jump platform for just ridiculous reasons and have these 10,000 people.
These are the same people that were going to move if Donald Trump got elected, the same people that were going to move if this was done, if that was done, blah,
Yeah.
blah, blah.
Exactly.
They're not going anywhere. They're just wanting to be heard.
Yeah, you're 100% right. That's absolutely right. But now he's purging all the handles. So if you have an inactive account, and that's users that haven't logged in over 30 days, you may be removed. That's, I think, a great idea. They promised this for years, that they're going to put some usernames back in circulation. According to Elon, they'll be completely purging accounts that haven't been used in a year. So if you haven't logged into an account in a year, you're gone. So I think this is kind of funny because I sold the Chris Phoenix Twitter account to somebody years ago, and I have yet to see anything happen with that. So I'm hoping that I'm going to get that shit back, because I think that's hilarious that I get it back for nothing. I got paid for it, and now I'm getting it back for free. But the rumor is it should be around 1.5 billion accounts that are deemed dormant. Yeah. There's been no updates from Elon since he did that. But I would like Microsoft to do this as well. I really would. Because Freebo and I know several people, and I know my daughter and I think one of my sons lost their Microsoft account, and it's locked down, and Microsoft just won't purge any of them.
Yeah.
Any of them at all. And they won't erase them either. So like if you have an older account on Xbox that you're like, oh dude, I used to use that years ago, you can literally log in again. Especially if you have the same email. You can log in again and get access to it. I don't necessarily think that's fair, and I think Elon's doing a great thing by purging these 1.5 billion accounts, because there might be a lot of names in there that are going to be used, whether they're parody accounts or even more so like a company account. Like say if there was an old title, I don't know, this
AOL.
Week. But maybe AOL. Maybe you have a you
ought to see if that's available on Twitter.
Somebody had a Twitter account that says
we could have fun with that.
Oh my god, we would. It's almost as good as the Radio Shack one. If you haven't seen the Radio Shack Twitter account, go look at it. I don't know if he's still doing it, but he bought the Radio Shack Twitter account, purchased it, and just put up dirty stuff constantly. It was good. Well, I hope they recover some of the dead accounts once this goes through. You know what else is dead? Your hard drive in 3 years. That's what's dead. So it's been a long time thing in tech. And if you don't know, here's another piece of information for the sheeple. Your computer hardware got about a 5-year shelf life. After about 5 years, it's difficult to find parts. Hard drives used to be 5 years, and now they're backing that down to 3 years. And we've said it on the show 100 times if we've said it once, in 403 episodes. Back up your shit. I had somebody at my counter last night that was crying because she had a doctorate thesis on her hard drive, older Dell computer. She shouldn't even have had that thing, but it was dying, and the hard drive was physically dying. I don't know if we're going to be able to get anything off of it, but you have your doctorate on there, man. This is a serious thing. You can't get that back. That's dozens of pages of
Yeah,
research and
I mean,
such.
she could send it to
Drive recovery.
recovery specialist, and most of them charge up front, and there's no guarantees. But
Yeah, and those things I think start at like 500. They're
yeah, that's on the cheap end.
Yeah, it's crazy. I saw one come back from water damage for $1,500 just because you didn't back it up. That's all you had to do. Back it up. You could have done it from your house over a network if you really were that lazy, but you didn't.
Yeah.
So
There's no reason not to have. I mean, they sell drives now that you plug in, and they're designed as a backup device. You plug it in, a couple of clicks, and it goes out and grabs what you want. You tell it to grab, and every time you plug it in, it syncs up with that device.
Yep.
And if you changed your will, you have a will on your laptop, and you make some changes to it because you're mad at Johnny this month, and you're taking him out of the will, and you plug your backup device in, the latest copy of the will gets automatically sucked down. You don't have to tell it to do anything.
Yeah.
So between that and cloud services, there's no reason not to have at least a backup.
They're incremental backups.
You and I both know that a backup is nice, but it's always better to have at least two minimum.
Correct. Just making
even better, a third one that's offsite. Like you got two of these backup drives. You have one you keep at the house. You have another that's in a safety deposit box that you go and get 2-3 times a year and update.
Yeah, it's so it's an incremental update, and we've talked on the show before that having a backup, as you would put it, is not a backup; it's a copy. Like Fremo said, a backup is more than one. So I have one on a Time Machine backup. Let's say the Apple computer. I have a Time Machine backup which is plugged in. I have a backup on my network attached storage. I have a backup that I do once or twice a year on a hard drive that's in my truck glove compartment, and in the cloud one. So you're covered in one way or another, because and people always are like, yeah, I should do that. Yeah, I
I'm
should
still
do that.
trying to convince him to keep a backup in the bunker,
I'll
but
give you access.
we can't reach a mutually approved price for the service. So it's a nuclear hardened bunker, man.
I don't care. I'm not giving you access.
It's worth the money.
Then I got pictures of me as a kid floating around the internet that are photoshopped. No, not going to do it.
I would not do that.
That's a
I would
laugh.
not use I would not use a picture from someone's childhood against them. I wouldn't do it.
Bullshit.
Case in point, this one I sent to my brother-in-law that I found.
That's so fucking wrong.
I would not do that to somebody.
You are something.
We were going through some stuff yesterday. My wife just starts laughing maniacally, and I'm like, "What?" And she shows me this picture. It's of my brother-in-law. He's like maybe 7 years old.
Yeah.
And his sister and his cousins, all girls, and they had dressed him up.
Yep.
Like done his hair, makeup, because he's like young. He's like 10 years younger than all of them.
Not living that down.
And she had that, and I was like, I need
fine.
that. Took a picture of it, and I sent him this very cryptic text.
Oh God, what you said
about apparently you've got some pretty weighty issues that you need to open up to somebody about. I'm here for you, something like that. And he's like, "What are you talking about?"
That is amazing.
And then I sent him the picture. I swear I could hear him laughing from 10 miles away.
So back to what we were saying. Do your backups diligently. even if not diligently, just do them because
Yes, because I need memes.
he needs memes. And there's all you have to do is, and we've all done it. Even us geeks have done it. We've lost shit once, just once, and then you really like never let it happen again. So don't be that person that does it once.
I've
Um,
never lost anything of mine personally. I have worked with a company that did not.
Bullshit.
Nope, I haven't. I have a box with a stack of hard drives in it. And when I
you would.
decommission a computer, I pull the hard drive out. That's my backup of what was on there. I move everything over I need for the new one, but everything else stays on that hard drive.
That's going to be a treasure trove I need to dig into.
Yes.
So a study by Backblaze Recovery Services said that most hard drives fail within 3 years. Now we did a similar story earlier with Western Digital, and this was down when we did it before. It was about 5 years, and that was like 2 years ago, maybe.
Yeah.
But they did a
If
test
that.
from we did a test from 40 gigabytes to 10. Well, not we, but they did a test from 40 gigabytes to 10 terabytes, and they tested 2007 failing drives, and they said now it's pretty much 3 years. Um, I'm not going to go into which drives it was, but it was pretty much every manufacturer,
Yeah.
with Toshiba, of course, being the worst. That thing's lucky to even fucking spin. Surprised it, Toshiba drives. I'm surprised it when you open it and see the raw drive. I'm surprised it doesn't have like a little turner wheel on it, like a little handle that you can self spin the drive to get it to work again.
Yeah.
Toshiba
Little
drives
hand
suck.
crank. Like, what's this hole on the side? Oh, well, that's when the drive goes down. You take this little crank and you put it in there, and
So Toshiba does it at the factory. And with that said, Western Digital is my favorite company. I do love Western Digital stuff. And their drives are solid. I use them in everything. I don't even know how you feel about them, but
they're my number one as well.
and they have so many flavors. They have network attached ones. They have ones that are designed the Black Series ones. They have the red. They have a bunch. But they finally came clean, and it kind of, I don't know. I can go either way on this one because the larger drives that they have, the cloud storage drives, are not good. I don't even know why they still make them. Granted, they do make them usually with dual drives in them, and they usually like large drives, like 10 terabytes or 16 terabytes or large drives. But you cannot get into them, and the whatever they're using for a breadboard on them fail often. So you have to crack open this ridiculous case. You have to get at those drives, figure out what RAID they were using if there's more than one drive in there, and then try to get the data off of it. I've never liked them. And then they added the cloud service. And I'm like, okay, a cloud service onto the drive. I see the idea, but I don't want an all-in-one inclusive because if one gets it's kind of like a router modem combo. One breaks, they both break.
Yeah.
If you have a cloud, if you have your hard drives that are talking to the cloud immediately from that drive directly, then if that drive system dies, your cloud, how are you going to get your cloud service back? I mean, it's going to marry for encryption purposes. It's going to marry to that unit you have sitting on your desk. So I've never been a fan of that, and I've tried to stop customers from buying them. I've never bought one. Their cloud service was compromised not so long ago, but they're very much like, we don't know what's gone yet. It's only temporary. It should be back. It's only some users. They very much made it nonchalant in that it wasn't a big deal.
Yeah.
So in a press release that I put in the show notes, they were compromised in a number of systems, and I quote, a number of systems. But it was so bad that they disconnected their entire internet service. They disconnected the whole thing from the internet, and they apparently copied the bad actors apparently copied their whole database, like the whole database,
Yeah.
everything, customer names, billing information, shipping addresses, telephone numbers, passwords, partial credit card numbers. This is not good in any way.
Well, the only bright spot in this is because everybody's getting hacked these days. I don't care who you are, you're getting hacked.
Yeah,
It
I
was
agree.
nice to see how they handled their password and credit card numbers.
How so? There's a little grandchild on
He's
the
waving at you.
lap.
Junior podcaster right here, folks.
That's right. Next in line. next in line. Well, they did contact Western Digital contacted some outside help, but they still haven't even given an exact number of how many.
Yeah.
The hackers turned
But-
around and said that they had 10 terabytes of data.
Yeah. The what I was saying though is the I mean, it sucks that people's names, emails, addresses, things like that got taken. But the part that you really don't want them getting a hold of is passwords and credit card numbers.
Right.
And they did say that that information that was taken was not only was it encrypted, but it was hashed and salted in the process.
That's
So,
good. That's good. But
Yeah.
and I also want to add to what Fremo said was that even though the hacker said it was 10 terabytes of data, it's not your data. So say if you had a 10 terabyte hard drive and you only had 5 terabytes on there and it had pictures of family pictures and documents and stuff, that's not what they took.
Yeah.
They took your basic data, your information data, which is minute. It might be 2K. I mean, it's literally minute. So the fact that they got 10 terabytes of it is massive. Massive.
Yeah.
One thing you won't have to worry about as much if you're a business owner anymore is DDoS attacks, which is another problem, which is how I believe how they got in or started to get into some of these hacks that Fremo was alluding to. Is that so those that don't know, a DDoS attack is a denial of service attack. So what you do is you go to
dedicated in denial
sorry,
of service.
dedicated denial of service attack. So you go to BGFG online and you have a bot.
He wasn't
network.
just stuttering, folks. There's actually 2 D's in the acronym.
You go to BGFG online, you don't like what we said, and you buy a bot network to hammer our website constantly with thousands and thousands of bots. Our little tiny website is not capable of handling that sort of traffic at all. Now there's bigger ones. Cloudflare does bigger networks and stuff like that can handle that, but most smaller sites don't. And a lot of times you can get bigger networks and have different types of attacks that will cripple sometimes these bigger businesses. So say if something like a Target got pinched or a Staples got pinched and got hit with a DDoS attack, it's not necessarily that the site's going to go down, but they very well could be losing thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of transactions in that time.
Yeah.
Everything from you standing at the store trying to make a purchase and they go, we can't do it right now, to buying something online and the transaction never goes through. So this is a very common thing. They essentially overtax the websites. And so these 13 sites that the DoD grabbed, they claim that they were legitimately testing businesses. I can see that, Freak, can't you? Like if you hire a security company, you know more about this than I do a little bit.
Well, it goes back to that wonderful movie called Sneakers.
Great movie.
Yeah, where this group of people is actually paid to test the security of banks, financial institutions to see how easily they can be robbed or whatever.
Right.
And there are legit companies that do that in the cyber realm where, okay, give us your domain, we'll take a look at it, see what we can find. And they'll start with a denial of service attack to see how robust it is and all different kinds of things. So
they'll do phishing scams.
Is it possible that that these 13 companies had some legitimate business? Yes. Is it likely that all of their business was legitimate? Probably not if they got seized and shut down by the government.
Yeah. The DOJ has an initiative known as Operation Power Off, which I think is hilarious. Go back to the 40s and 50s, like with the UFOs, Operation Paperclip. Just random names. This one's Operation Power Off. We get it. It's not a big secret. But this past November, they had closed 48 domains doing DDoS attacks. And these 13 that they just closed were reincarnations of the same previous 48. That is simply somebody sitting there going, I missed that money. It was free money. Let me open up a couple more and let me see what I can do. But the DOJ is acting smart. And we've said this before on the show. We're really happy that Gen Xers are now in charge of this shit because they did it right again. Not only did they shut down the sites like the boomers did, but Us being smarter than them, they're also using the hundreds of thousands of registered users and tracking the users and seeing what they did. See, that's
Yeah.
where it's at. It's not just closing down the site. You can close down Pirate Bay, but you need to look at who's posting the most shit on Pirate Bay and look into those people. Because there's a very good possibility that they have other tendrils in other things, for lack of a better term. You know what I mean? Like, I
think
like that idea.
Like here's a surprise for you. One of the sites shut down in December was cyberstress.org, which was previously, and then one of the 13 that they just got was cyberstress.us. Huh.
There's some big brain people there, let me tell you.
Yeah. Wonder why these guys got caught twice.
Because it's stupid. Finally this week, one of the things we like to talk about besides Facebook and AOL is crypto. There's nothing better than talking about crypto's failures. Because it's stupid, people. That's why. It's stupid. And you can say, oh, that's because you guys don't understand. No, we understand it completely. Blockchain was great until the federal government figured out how to get into that. Blockchain was brilliant. Bitcoin and Dogecoin is stupid. It's dumb. The only thing that's dumber than that is NFTs. That's the only thing that's dumber than crypto.
Yeah, and NFTs, I mean, the reason you don't hear about that anymore is because it was just a straight up money laundering gig. And as soon as it caught some public view, they're like, oh, nope, we don't want no part of that.
Yeah, the last time we did an NFT story was about the guy that bought that picture for $4 million, and then he couldn't even sell it for $4,000.
Yeah.
Like, talk about taking a fucking loss, you idiot. But one of the big crypto companies was Bittrex, which is now filed for bankruptcy. This was a crypto exchange, so you could go there with real money, get crypto, or take one crypto, switch it into another crypto. They say that they have more than 100,000 creditors right now. They're worldwide. But the only thing that claimed bankruptcy was their U.S. branch. And this all happened after they were sued by the SEC, the Security Exchange Commission. Because I don't even need to go into why the SEC would stop them in any way. Allegations is that it operated an illegal exchange broker. Well, yeah, it was an illegal exchange broker. Most of the cryptocurrency stuff is illegal, whether you want to say that or not. And I got people that I work with, millennials and Gen Y and stuff that are all like, oh, it's legit. I don't know why they're always harping on it. It's
Have you heard about
future.
the new subgenre, Zillennials?
Oh, what the hell are they doing now?
Yeah.
I don't care. I don't care. You have
You need to check out. You need to check out. What's his dad bod veteran?
That sounds
It's his
familiar.
handle. He does. He just does nothing. I sent you the one link about the
Yes.
why.
Yeah.
What? So some Gen
X.
Z was like, how come nobody is calling out Gen Z or Gen X on their shit? And
Pardon me, sir.
Because
we don't care. We don't care about you or what you're doing. We're feral creatures.
yeah, the boomers left us to our own devices. They know what they created. That's why they leave us alone.
You should do the same. So it's I'm not sad to see crypto go at all. In fact, I think this is taking too long because it's not viable. And you can say whatever you want. I know we're gonna get hate mail on it.
Oh, that's
going
going to give me some hate mail.
Well,
But
the reason it's not viable is, I mean, it's not that in principle it's not a worthwhile thing. It's not viable because the entire basis of it was established in criminality.
I disagree. I think it's not. I agree with you where it's criminality, like NFTs were. But I think that the idea of having anybody, and I'm not just talking, because you Gen Xers don't get it. No, boomers don't get it. We get it. It's just the idea of having my phone and having a magical wallet on my phone. Like, I don't have any cash to put down. Like, I always keep cash in my pocket. I very rarely use cash. I haven't used cash, like, to pay for something in probably months. And that was just because I didn't have my phone nearby.
Yesterday for me. It'd be today as soon as I leave the house if I do.
To use cash?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, I basically tap to pay on my iPhone with an account that I have that's, I guess you could say not traceable. You can't hack into my account. It's just not going to happen. No, don't do that. Don't cause problems. It's not connected to anything. I move money to it occasionally to just make small payments on stuff.
Keep
So
talking.
it's,
The more information I get, the easier this will be.
man, you're
Douchebag.
so essentially, you know what? Forget it. Let's just move into music.
Now
I'm
you're
digging-
scared.
Yeah, because now I'm digging myself a hole, and that's not good. That's not good for me or anybody else. All right, this week's music, and again, Fremo and I alluded
Long
to
and
it.
short, crypto's dead. That's what he's trying to get to, folks.
Yes. Fremo and I alluded to it last week. We have at least 4 weeks of great songs. And this is another one. This is a singer, songwriter, and busker. If you don't know what a busker is, those are people that hang out on the street. This guy's from London. His name's Cam Cole. Look up a video from, click on the link in the show notes. I think they show his full body. I'm not sure. But he made this little mechanism for his feet, like a stool almost, with 4 or 5 drum pedals on it, and that's what controls the drums. And this guy is absolutely amazing. Everything he does on his own. He is literally a one-man band. So when you hear the song called Mama, it's just him. And it's so freaking good. I can't even.
He's like the UK version of Shaky Graves.
Okay. All
I'm
right,
not
yeah.
saying one's better than the other, but yeah.
No, yeah. I love this stuff. I think it's killer. We're gonna catch you on the other side for stick style. Not a lot going on, but some fun stuff nonetheless. And I think the end of the show is gonna be funny in several ways. All right, so this is Cam Cole, Mama, and we'll catch you on the other side. Good stuff. I like Cam Cole. You're muted, which is great.
I checked out several of his songs after last week when we were debating on what to do.
Yeah. All of them. It's not really
Yeah.
not one bad one. And I think the key, Cam Cole's good, but I think really what's going to get you hooked is watching him live on YouTube.
Yeah.
Because once you see him do that, you just can't, it's infectious. It's just so good. All right,
Yeah,
let's
like
get
I
to
seriously like it's on the it's not high up at this point because I still have way too many other things on the bucket list. But he's on the bucket list to go see live. Like just get a ticket, go to London, and walk around and find him.
yeah, that would be kind of cool. And then just in between sets, just go, dude. I came from America just to see you.
Yeah,
That's pretty cool. So,
here's some money.
I am back to drinking the Modelo today. Modelo Especial.
Nice.
You imbibing in any beverage?
No, I'm not. I'm doing water. We we uh we have some stuff that we got to do outside here after a little bit, and yeah, if I start drinking now, I will be miserable while I'm outside trying to get it done.
While we're talking about that, how did you make out last week after downing all that moonshine?
I had a delightful afternoon.
I bet you did, because I saw you drink that. So did a couple of the people I work with. Check out the show, and they're like, "Good lord!" I'm like, "Yeah, that was legit. That wasn't like fake or iced tea or anything. No, that was legit." I was just happy he made it to the end of the show. Because there was a point, I don't know if you remember, but there was a point, like, probably when we got to For What It's Worth, that you started sweating. Like, you
Oh
were
yeah,
actually sweating. And from being down there and drinking that stuff with you, I know that feeling. That's,
yep.
that's a sweating feeling right there. All right, let's get into six
There's,
style.
let's do it.
Gaming.
So, first up in gaming, we have the PlayStation. There wasn't any new announcements for any place that has Fremo's yawning. Here we go. There wasn't any news for PlayStation and Xbox. The only big news for either one was that, like they always do at the beginning of May, is everybody does a Star Wars thing.
Yeah.
Like I'm such a Star Wars fan, as you see from behind me and stuff, that even I got the alerts from like Steam, and they were like showing bundles for Star Wars Day, and I'm like, yeah, I got them all. Like I don't need that bundle.
Right.
I am personally in Fortnite hell right now. I'm usually playing Jedi Survivor because that's just an outstanding game. I would implore you to get your EA account fixed because it's just that good. Um, but Fortnite released some skins, and I've got pretty much, even my kids are amazed that I've got literally all the Star Wars skins. I don't play Fortnite every day, but I have a lot of the Star Wars skins. So when I jump on there, I'm able to play Star Wars. And right now they have the Star Wars extravaganza going for most of the month, and I don't have the Darth Maul skin, and I desperately want the Darth Maul skin,
And you
and
call yourself a fan.
it's a grind though. Like it's a fucking grind, and it's fun, but it's a grind nonetheless. So I've been in Fortnite hell, but PlayStation did drop the announcement for their top downloads in April, which I always find interesting because it really gives you a snapshot of what people are playing on the system. And I've talked to so many people, people I work with, customers that come in, and it's really a mixed bag still to this day of who likes what and what they want to go for. Where PlayStation's got a lot more of the Japanese titles and full role playing games, and Xbox really has the jump in games, I think. And they have the access to the PC, which I think is really important. And I think
Yeah.
PlayStation's missing out. There's a couple of PlayStation apps that you can download on the PC, and they're good. They're not bad, but they're not promoting them because they want you to buy the console. And their console interface, we've talked about on the show before. Fremont and I both agreed that the PlayStation console interface is better than the Xbox one, but you still have so many more games and opportunities and ways to play Xbox. Look at some of the handhelds that are coming out. They all have access to Xbox, but they don't to PlayStation. So the constant console war, I think, is still leaning toward Xbox, which I'm not upset about in any way.
Yeah. Um, so what surprised me on this list
What,
was the third top download in the European Union
what was it?
for April.
I didn't look at the European.
Okay, so both US, Canada, and the EU list start off with Star Wars Jedi Survivor. No surprise there.
Yeah.
Dead Island 2, and then US MLB The Show 23, which makes sense. It's 2023.
Yep.
The third top download in the European Union was Grand Theft Auto 5.
Yeah, so let me run down the U.S. list. Like Freebo said, it's Jedi Survivor, Dead Island 2, Major
Wait,
League
hold on.
Baseball. Okay.
Grand Theft Auto 5 has been around for quite a while.
That game does not lose traction. That game does not lose traction at all.
I get that, but why would it be? I mean, did it just recently become available in the European Union
No,
because of
no.
some licensing issues? I mean, why would that be the top 3 download?
I believe they revamped
Did they
something.
remaster
Yeah,
it?
yeah,
I
yeah.
mean,
They did
okay.
some. They said added on. So in the U.S., it was Jedi Survivor, Dead Island 2, Major League Baseball, The Show 23, GTA 5, NBA 2K23 expected, Modern Warfare 2, Resident Evil 4, Fremo Z, Night of Dementia, EA PGA Tour, Hogwarts Legacy, FIFA, WWE 2K23, PGA Tour 2K23, Madden, and Gran Turismo. Now, the thing that kind of threw me off was that you actually made the list, first of all, and then second of all, was that you have EA PGA Tour, and then you also have PGA Tour 2K23. So this surprised me 2 ways. Number one, I miss those competitions. I miss those competitions between EA and 2K. Football, basketball, baseball, those were great games. And they really did not complement each other, but they really did like offer something different for each one of the fans of the different sports. But I still don't understand, just like I don't understand why PGA golfers make so much money and why their games are so popular. Like I just don't get it. There's like the Hot Shots golf game, I think it was the one I played with a couple of friends here and there. And that was just like ridiculousness, like turbo balls and just ridiculous shit. I don't understand why anybody wants to sit down and play a fucking golf game. I've gone and played golf before. Unimpressed. A lot of walking, getting a good tan, but not impressed.
Yeah.
Have you ever golfed? You must have golfed.
Yeah, but don't care to.
Ugh, awful.
Like when I was in a particular role, part of my job was to play in golf tournaments.
Ugh.
And I had a mismatched set of clubs that I picked up just so I had, different clubs to play with, whatnot. And eventually my boss at the time, after about the 8th outing, over the course of a couple years, he just looked at me and goes, "You just really don't care for golf at all, do you?" And I'm like,
No.
"Nope, I'm only here because I have to be."
Yeah.
And he's
Not-
like, "Okay, you don't have to play anymore." I'm like, "Thank you."
Thank you very much. Though I like the time
I'll-
out of the office. Yeah.
I'll drive the beer cart. I mean, whatever.
I
But
got your back. But here's some good news out of Microsoft, because we didn't have a whole lot of Microsoft news. The good news out of Microsoft is, well, to them it's good news. So a bigger problem is the hard drive space. And we've talked about it on the show before, where hard drive space is at a premium. So you have an example would be Star Wars Jedi Survivor is 136 gigabytes. That is huge. All of my systems, I had to remove shit to put it on there because I'm too cheap to buy external storage. But I'm going to have to break that rule eventually. Now, on the PlayStation side, very easy. There is, I think, 7 or 8 different M.2 drives that you can buy. Depending on how much you want to spend, you can get up to, I think it'll handle up to 4 terabytes, but that cost is too expensive right now. But you can get a 1 terabyte add-on for, under $100 free?
Yeah.
You can pop off the side panel of your PlayStation 5, slot it in, turn on the PlayStation, and it goes, "Hey, we saw a new drive. Would you like to add it?" Yes, I would. And you can play all your games through it. The problem here is that all the new systems, both the Series X as well as the PlayStation 5, if you plug in an external hard drive like we've always done, you cannot play off those external drives. They'll work. You can store stuff on there, but you cannot play off of them. You have to move them to your main device. So let's say Freebo and I, after the show, decide to play, I don't know, Breakfast. And I moved it to the external drive to put on Survivor in either system. I have to move it back to the main drive and move something off onto the storage to play it.
Yeah.
That could take anywhere from 5 minutes to an hour. And that might not be the time. If you're sitting down like, "Hey, I got an hour and a half to kill before the wife comes home, or before I have to go out. Let me jump in and play some of this game. That might not be an option for you.
Yep.
So it's very important to have a bigger internal storage, and PlayStation 5 handles it quite nicely. Xbox, on the other hand, does not handle it well at all. They have a proprietary external hard drive provided by Seagate that is astronomically expensive. We've talked about it on the show before. A 1 terabyte at one time was damn near $200. That's ridiculous. I could buy a 1 terabyte M.2 for under $100, and it'll work great, and it'll be fast. This is just an external storage. We're not even sure if it's M.2. At least I'm not. And it's just
Yeah, I don't know what the specs on it is.
it's just a little clip card, and now the there's 3 of them for the Xbox. There's a 512, which nobody's going to buy because it's pointless, a 1 terabyte, and a 2 terabyte. But they're still asking too much. The 1 terabyte is now down to $150, and they said that's going to be permanently. And I think it's because, like we talked on the show a couple of weeks back, is that Western Digital is going to be coming out with a drive that works for the Xbox, and their price is going to be lower. So there's going to be competition. As we've told you on the show before, competition is king. That's what drives prices down. But $150 for a 1 terabyte is still too much money. You're not selling any. My stores had them on the shelf forever. I don't see anybody ever leaving with them, ever. And I'm the fool that would be the first one. If the price was right, I want to get external storage and throw a shit ton of games on there. But it's like, even now at $150, that's $50 too much. That's $50. It might not seem like a lot, but it is a lot for that storage. And the 2 terabyte for the Xbox is $280. That is ridiculous. Just not good. And when you look at Jedi Survivor clocking in at 136 gigabytes, I mean, what the hell? Granted, most of these drives internally are 1 terabyte on your PlayStation 5 and on your Xbox Series X, but that's not going to hold a lot, especially if you're playing multiple games. You're playing Jedi Survivor, you're playing Modern Warfare, you're playing GTA. These are massive games. You're going to fill up that drive in no time. And they don't play over external drives, so you're kind of screwed there. The price drop may be because, like I said, there's a rumor that Western Digital is going to come out with one, which is awesome. I look
Or you
forward
can
to
just
that.
hold on to your Xbox One like I have, and you can play off your external drive. But whatever.
Yeah, but free. They're starting to come out with games that aren't going to be compatible. I don't even think Jedi Survivor's on previous systems. I think you can only get that on new systems. I'm not sure. You'd have to check your Xbox One, because I don't even know if you can get it on there. I know I can't get it on the older PlayStations at all.
Yeah.
Which is weird. And here's something else that we've seen before. Discord is now making everyone change their names, and I do mean everyone. So originally they gave you a name and a number. So it could be like Chris Phoenix, hashtag 80085. And that could be that. But when you're in the real world, that's too hard to share. Especially trying to remember the numbers all the time. Like when you're sharing your Xbox or your PlayStation name, you say, oh, it's Chris Phoenix on Xbox. And they plug it in and they eventually find you. When you're talking about Discord, it's like random numbers afterwards, and they don't want to do that. No one remembers them damn numbers. The CEO of Discord has said that almost half of all requests fail because someone gets the number part wrong. That's legit. So now they're going to do what every other social media platform is doing. They're going to give you a unique username, plus a freely assignable display name that you can change as well. So you might be FreemoZ, I don't know, FreemoZ14. But you're just,
know mine is on here.
I don't know either. I couldn't tell you what mine is on this. I don't know. But it's,
FreemoZ hash 9729.
there you go. So it's,
And it's correct. Capital M, capital Z.
that's good. Now, Freemo and I have bitched about this before. So Xbox did this a decade ago. And Freemo and I on the show, yes, a decade ago, we've been doing this for a while, bitched and moaned about it. We're like, because we knew what they were doing. They were switching their back-end server. I forgot how we figured it out, but they were switching. I want to say it was from, what the hell was it? It was from like their Azure base to like a Unix base, I think it was, that we figured it out, where they couldn't have spaces in
Yeah.
between the names. So that's why they wanted everybody to change. And we just flat out said no. Because friends of ours were changing their names and they were getting numbers attached to it afterwards. And we were like, no, we ain't doing that. So we've never done that. And they've kept our names going. I don't know how they're doing it in the back end, but we just simply never did that. And now you
Well, I
have.
don't have any spaces in mine, so
I do, and it's still there. So it's fine.
Yeah.
And we know a couple of other people that do have their spaces. And by the way, which is cool, we still get pops when we go into a room and they see that we have a clean name with no weird shit on either end of the name, which is cool. I like that. But with Discord, I think that is turning into the kind of a good social media platform. We don't fully use it here on the show because simply we don't have time, and our generation probably won't. But it's still one of those things that I think is very viable compared to the other stuff that people are leaving Twitter for, like Mastodon. I think there's another one like Freeverse or something like that Jack Dorsey started. Those are good, but again, you're starting all over again. Even when we stream for even when we change to oh shit, I forgot where I was going with that. When we switching names is always an inconvenience. Moving platforms is even more of an inconvenience to everybody. So if you can't or don't want to do it, then don't, because you're not going to have all your followers go, and that's just the fact of it. And with the Discord one, they've already came out and said you might not even get the same name again, because I'm assuming it's automatically generated, and that's just not something that's going to work for us. When you establish a name or a business or anything else, you don't want to have your name changed. People have to research for things, re-add things, and you're going to, whether you think you're popular or you're an influencer or anything else, no, not everybody's going to move because they're going to be just simply not bothered. They're going to be like, I'm not going to do this again, and just not follow you to it. An example is Twitch. We use Stick Style. We use Twitch all the time. There's a new one called Kick. You know, I've broadcast a couple of times on there. May or may not do that as well. But at the same time, if I already have followers on Twitch, they're not going to go jump to Kick immediately. It's a new platform. You know, I'm not Amaroth. I'm not Dr. Disrespect. I'm not Summit. We're not those people. We don't have millions of people, and if we lose 1,000, we don't care. That's no. We have a handful of people that follow us, and we love them. We love you all, but let's face it, half of you aren't going to switch. They're going to be like, fuck it. They're not broadcasting anymore. They're not going to look to see where we're going. So I don't like the idea of not getting the same name. I don't like the idea of losing followers at all, but it is easy to tell somebody that it's Johnny5567 and not Johnny5657. Like, that's easily confused. And having a standardized name is always going to be easier. It's going to be what? Oh my God, what did you do? Tell me you didn't change the name of our show. Oh.
No, Seagate.
What
The
about
expansion card for Xbox. It's
Yeah.
it's a PCIe Gen 4x2 NVMe.
All right, so it's one of those small ones, like the little the half size.
Yeah.
Fast drive. Very fast
they
drive,
are.
great drive. But that price is ridiculous, because you can look up that price and get one for about $100. So it's $50 or more or less for a 1 terabyte. So it's definitely not worth it. Back to the Discord thing. It's going to be a slow rollout, and they're prioritizing Discord users that have been there the longest. I don't know if we've been there the longest. We've been there since we've been there a while. So I don't know if they'll do that. I don't even know if I'm going to bother trying. Like, I just simply don't know if I care enough. We use it, but it's not really used to its full potential because I don't have the time to babysit it. I don't. You're working all the time. We have families. We don't have time to do that, people. We're a basic show. And like somebody in the chat room just said, Kick has potential. But it's too new. It's too new to
if
see.
any of you Gen Zs want to
Why do I have to blame Gen Z for everything?
No, I'm not blaming him. I'm about to give him some props, man.
Oh, then we should end the show now.
But yeah, if any of you Gen Zers that wants to hitch your wagon to our star and be our social media manager,
Oh God.
or
Oh no. Oh no, no, no,
unpaid
no.
intern, just hit us up. I did mention it was unpaid, right?
Yeah, I hope so. I don't know. Seriously, with the look, people that don't know the inside stuff, um
Seriously, if we get somebody, we get somebody
dude,
that wants to do that crap
somebody
for
in the
free
chat room.
in
We
the
have somebody
hopes
in the
that
chat
we
room right
blow
now.
up.
Wait. We have somebody in the chat room right now that said, I'm just gonna post videos of us twerking, and that's just gonna get instant views. And they're right, because it's ridiculousness. And for a little inside baseball, we've kept this show for 20 years on such a shoestring, unbelievable budget. Our yearly budget might be $200, maybe, because we've learned how to do things on the cheap, not just because we're Gen X and we're feral, but because we understand how the internet works, and we understand
Yeah.
that content is where it's at. It's getting on here. It's doing what we do. It's sounding decent. It's not. It's just
It's
ridiculous.
looking good.
It's looking good. It's doing things on the cheap. I mean, I've shown people how I've made the show work. People that come to my counter or people that I work with, and they're like, "Really?" I'm like, "Yeah. I don't understand why you need a $400 mic and
Yeah,
$18,000 worth
$1,000 worth of video equipment, and
yeah, why are you buying all that shit? It's not going to help, man. It's not. I mean, I can't tell you how many things I've had. Freemo's seen it. Actually, Freemo's replaced equipment that I've spilled beer on in the past. And even then, he's like, "Really? That's it?" Yeah, because I don't go buying elaborate Behringer boards. I don't need a full recording studio, man. I need something that
Yeah.
turns on and off, and I can adjust a couple of things. But anyway, let's let's move on to something even funnier. We mentioned it here before. We fucking warned you people that this was going to happen, and now it's starting to happen. There's an M-rated Mickey Mouse first-person shooter out, and I cannot wait to get my hands on this in any way, shape, or form. It's an indie first-person shooter starring the Steamboat Willie Mickey Mouse, which is great. It's developed by a Polish studio, Fumi, which is also good. And it's very similar to Cuphead. Cuphead's a great game. I love the look of Cuphead. It's back there with the early like Popeye cartoons and the early Mickey Mouse cartoons. It's very there's something about those old cartoons. And what a lot of people don't know is that how they did it and made it look so good was the amount of frames that they would use. These cartoons weren't 30 minutes like Animaniacs. These cartoons were literally 5 or 6 minutes with the same amount of pages in the animations. So it looked a lot smoother. It had a different feel to it. Love them. And it's just so it's got a dark noir 90s game violence to it. And I think the fact that we fucking told you people, we're like, Mickey's lifespan is ending. 100 years is the limitation for a patent. And that alone immediately made me and Freemo be like, oh shit, yeah. Winnie the Pooh is another one, which is why you have that big that big problem right now with that Winnie the Pooh horror movie. Because it's the end of a patent. It is what it is. Yeah. The Mouse Steam page is active right now, so if you go to Steam, you can find it. The devs say the game is still in early states, though, so there's no release date yet. But I guarantee you, I promise you, Stick Style will have this game. We will review it, and we will be broadcasting it, because there is not going to be anything better than this in that immediate future. All right, let's get into the last segment of the day, for what it's worth. Just fucking first-person shooter, Mickey. That's so good. So first up in this week's For What It's Worth is another thing that we fucking told you about. We fucking warned you. VPN searches and purchases have skyrocketed in Utah. Go figure. If you don't know, Utah laid out a law requiring porn sites to use strict age verification services. That's not going to work. We said it before that it's just simply not going to work. Last week, Pornhub, you might have heard of them once or twice. Pornhub. I don't go to that site. I don't know what. I had to look it up. But they completely disabled access to their site from IPs out of Utah. Ouch. That's just gonna.
Yeah.
It's Utah. I mean, there's a lot. I bet you that is like the most Pornhub usage is Utah. Bible Belt and then, Utah and then Bible Belt. I would not want to be doing computer repairs in Utah anytime soon either. Because
no doubt.
there's going to be so much malware and spam and viruses from fake VPNs. It is going to be a treasure trove free. A treasure trove.
Thinking about moving, starting up a shop.
Just for VPN services.
Yeah.
So many people are gonna have VPN services and then sell them. They're just gonna remask them. They're gonna take one.
Literally $50 a pop. I'll clean your computer. Give me an hour. Come back and pick it up.
There's gonna be a lot of geeks.
Yeah, but your money you can make.
Yeah, there's gonna be a lot of geeks and tech people like us that are living in Utah right now. They're gonna be hitting a new tax bracket next year.
Oh yeah,
without a doubt, because they're gonna make bank. I mean, we've seen it before where you take a good idea. Let's say ChatGPT, which is a whole nother show, but let's just say ChatGPT, and they remask it. They're doing it now. They're remasking it, putting it on Google Play Store, putting it on Apple, and it's just basically you're paying Freemo to get access to ChatGPT.
Yeah,
it's not necessarily illegal. It's just not ethical in any way. And that's what you're going to see with these VPN things. And they're going to put whatever payload they want onto the download of the VPN. Even if the VPN doesn't work properly, who cares? I got your money. I don't give a shit. My tech support is my 3 kids that occasionally answer the phone over there after school hours. That's your support network right there. I just think this is so funny. It's so unbelievably ridiculous because the internet was created for MIT to exchange information. It just so happened that a byproduct of that was them sending nude pictures. And then that escalated. And then you got the early 90s, late 80s, and you had a lot of porn access coming up because it was the thing to do. And then you had GeoCities, you had MySpace, things like that. But there was still always internet
in the background.
Yeah, internet and porn go hand in hand. They do, whether you like that idea or not. Now, is it as bad as it used to be? No, it's not. There's not as many porn sites and here's a little interesting tidbit for those that are listening right now. Back about late 90s, mid 90s, late 90s, there was a porn actress that was an entrepreneur, one of the first ones that started making herself as a brand. And she actually petitioned Congress to change all adult sites to .adu. And she simply said, that way it's easier to block and protect children from getting onto these sites. These are for adults only. And it got turned down. It got turned down.
Yeah. It still needs to be done. Period. That solves all this.
Yeah, it's the easiest fucking thing to do. You know, and it doesn't even matter. I want access. You could do it hourly. I want access to, you have one portal that gives you access to .adu sites for 4 hours. Come on, let's be honest, people. You don't need all that time. For 4 hours a month. So for 4 hours a month, you have access to porn for $20 a month. And they only reflect .adu. You can have all the porn sites you want if you're, Vivid Entertainment. You can have all the porn sites you want as long as they're .adu. That keeps the internet safe. That stops people from getting angry. You know, it's an easy fix, but nobody wants to do it.
Makes it easy for parents to, see what their kids are up to. Whatever.
It's an easy fix. They just won't do it because, again, money, cash rules everything around us. It
Yeah.
does. It literally does. And because it's so lucrative to have these Disney's router that blocks adult sites, other mechanisms that block adult sites, so that have blacklists and whitelists and things like that. These are all money makers, and all you need is one good person in Congress that's soliciting a congressional hearing that they need the money, and they're not gonna abide by it. They're just it's really shitty that this hasn't come through before, because it's the easiest fix ever for adult issues on the internet. It's just sad.
Yeah, you don't
So,
want, you don't want your 8-year-old typing in and like fat fingering something and then looking at stuff while he's researching a, whatever for school, and then he ends up.
well, Jaded Zodiac in the chat room brought up the fact that they're still going to hide it behind paywalls. There wouldn't be a need for a paywall, because you can actually have all of their sites, like a Vivid Entertainment or something, have like 16 different sites. I mean, let's be honest, people. We know the sites: Bang Bus, Casting Couch, all of those sites like that are owned by the same company. They can be behind a paywall, but they have to be .adu. So if they're
Yeah.
.adu, then they're still locked behind that site. You can get access, but it's still going to be there. And whether they take and give a cut to anybody else ever, that's on them. You're paying for it. I mean, I very look. There's people that go to porn sites every day. There's people that go to porn sites once in a while, and there's people that never go to them. That's just a fact. But if you're the type of person that's living alone and you're single and you're in your 20s or whatever, and you go to porn every day because you have social anxiety, then you're going to pay that money to go through it. It doesn't matter who gets the cut, as long as you get access. People forever in business are going to get cuts, whether it's the government gets a cut or your taxes get a cut or whatever it is. There used to be a time where you could go do business, sell your wares on the street in the middle of town, and you weren't paying anybody for that. Now you can't do that. I can go downtown, I can go to Main Street, put up a little kiosk in the middle of the street, and somebody's eventually going to hit me for taxes. If not the
Yeah.
federal government, then local. They're going
Some
to
sort
be
of
able to pay taxes.
permit or
Yeah, a permit or something like that. All right, let's get to the final story of this week. That way we can end it on some good news, because it's great news. Ben Cohen is the co-founder of Ben and Jerry's. I've been to Ben and Jerry's. It's in New Hampshire. It's a wonderful place, especially if you're a fat person like me. It's it's a great place to go. And you have to admit, Ben and Jerry is just a great story from front to back. From the fact that they started as a couple of hippies that made ice cream, sold ice cream, and then made it bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. They've never really compromised for anything. They've just always made good shit. And it's always a big deal when you're famous enough that they make a flavor in your honor, whether it's Conan O'Brien or Late Show or Star Wars or whatever it is. And their ice cream is quite good. But they just started a cannabis company. Now you might think, oh, that tracks. It's cannabis. Of course, it's Ben and Jerry's. It's ice cream. It's cannabis. They were hippies. This tracks. But it's bigger than that. And I love, love, love this story, because most hippies are really fucking good boomers. Like, they're really solid people. I thought this was just going to be an extension of Ben and Jerry's as a corporation, but it's not. Ben actually started this as a nonprofit. Any money that they do makes go directly to social causes. It's called Ben's Best Blends, BLNZ, or B3. This is the quote: "They're going to sell great pot and use the power of our business to right the wrongs of the war on drugs." Now, for those people that might be too young to listen, the war on drugs was a huge thing when we were growing up. Us Gen Xers were growing up. And even then, we didn't understand. I mean, well, we did understand it because there was crack. Crack was really bad to the social climate. It was really bad. But the weed and stuff, they classified weed as a Schedule 1 narcotic. Same thing as heroin. So people were going to jail for having a joint in their car, which was, that's rough, man. You got somebody that's just going home, smoking a joint when they get close to home or whatever, and they're getting pinched and doing time in prison. Like
Yeah.
that's not a joke. I've done some overnights. It's not a pleasurable experience at all in any way. And the strategy is that they're going to have a partner for profit companies who will pay the royalties to B3 for use of their formulas. Brilliant idea. Just absolutely stunning. Oops, that's wrong button. That's just it's a brilliant idea. They're going to pay for formulas, packaging, and trademarks.
Yeah.
If you see a Ben and Jerry's trademark on a nug that you have, or some flowers at your local dispensary, it's not that I want to pay a premium, but I'm going to know it's quality because I want to expect the quality. Again, this is a brand thing. I want to expect that quality of the Ben and Jerry's cannabis to be as good as their ice cream. Granted, when I leave the dispensary, I'm going to go right next door to buy some pints of ice cream from Ben and Jerry's. It's inevitable.
Or they
They're
may
gonna make
have it
money.
right there. They may have the little freezer right there in front of the checkout at the
That would
dispensary.
be a
Now with the
phenomenally great
you know,
idea.
the little
Phenomenally great idea.
single serve Ben and Jerry's.
Yeah, get them both times.
Yeah, let
One
me
of the
get
first.
some Ben and Jerry's Purple Haze and Chunky Monkey.
Yeah, exactly. I'm gonna get and I'm gonna take a Ben and Jerry's Heath Bar Crunch, and then I'm gonna get the Ben and Jerry's Han Holy. So one of the first issues they'll be is tackling is getting people convicted of cannabis related crimes out of jail, and advocating to get weed off the federal list of narcotics Schedule 1, which I think is brilliant.
Yeah, it's crazy because in the '60s, marijuana was not. I mean, it grew on the side of the road.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, you could literally go pick your own joint and smoke it.
But
And then
now
all of a
look,
sudden they declare this war on drugs and they put marijuana on the list, and there's a crap ton of people's lives who have been ruined because like you said, they smoked a joint
right.
and they got
And
caught.
you fast forward to today, and you got states like my own state that's fully recreational. I can go to a dispensary, pay a little bit of a premium and get really high end, or I can go to a local shop, pay a little bit less and get good stuff, but not as good as the dispensary. Dispensaries still got medical stuff, medical grade. So, like for instance, the dispensaries, the medical dispensaries are going to have like a 30+% of THC in any flower that you buy. Yet your local shop, your Solar or whatever it is going to have like no higher than probably a 25. So it really depends on what you want. But they're literally everywhere, and these guys are making bank. But yet in Fremont State, you can't get anything. So if I was to move down there, I got to make a huge adjustment in my in my life.
It's getting there. I mean, you can buy some decent gummies now.
Right, but the gummies, like a lot of the gummies you buy at gas stations and stuff, they really don't have a whole lot of CBD in them, if any at all. It's
No,
very
I mean,
questionable.
yeah, those, but there, it's coming along.
It is. It's going to get better, and once they fight enough, and the federal government turns around and makes it recreational, or schedules it, or makes it more like alcohol, then it's going to be a lot easier on life. And it's going to be a lot easier on the police. Like if you talk to a police officer that's been on the job for like years, they'll be the first ones to tell you that they would want to legalize it because it's just a waste of their fucking time. And dare I say that there is police officers that if you get pulled over, if you weren't doing anything stupid and you happen to have a joint, or they frisked you down and you had a joint or a little baggie in your pocket, they're probably not going to do much. And I even know some police officers that may or may not confiscate it from you and let you go with a warning. Now,
Yeah.
make no mistake.
Oh, you want me to dump this out? No, 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 no. Hand me the bag, but you're free to go.
I may or may not be at their house later smoking it with them. I'm just saying. They'll also be investing heavily in black-owned cannabis businesses, which I think is huge. Because right now it very much seems like it's white only, and that's not a good sign. I applaud all of this, since the war on drugs coined by Richard Nixon simply targeted black and brown people, with kids holding a joint doing 2 years in prison. That's what the war on drugs was. And it changes your life forever. One time I did an overnight and I got transferred to a prison as opposed to a local jail Fremo, I'm telling you right now, that changed my life. Changed my
Yeah.
life. Because, you know, as much as I'm a martial artist and I believe in defending myself and my loved ones, I'm going to think twice now. Because even holding until trial is no joke, no fun. It changes you. So it's definitely something. Oh, and Bill Conan won't even be taking any salary from B3, by the way,
Yeah.
which is also awesome. You know, it's a good thing. And with the power, look, the Ben and Jerry's is an ice cream company, but they have money, and money equals power, and they have a voice, especially with all the boomers that are still in Congress and making litigation. They all remember Ben and Jerry and remember them as hippies and whatnot, and the counterculture and how they made good out of a bad situation. So they're gonna maybe listen to them a little bit more, maybe listen to Bill Cohen a little bit more. So I think it's a good possibility. All we need is them to pull it from Schedule 1 narcotics. That's really all we need. Once that's done and it's not treated like having heroin, things will be better. Nope. Nothing on that one, huh?
No, you're right. And that would solve the problem for lots of states that are kind of in limbo. They don't know where to go with it.
Yeah. Yours.
Um,
Yours is one.
yeah.
They don't know what to do. Shit or commit.
And
In
yeah,
your
so
area, I
if the
believe
federal
your area.
government would if they would just deregulate it, I mean, even reduce it, take it from Schedule 1 down to 4, to where it's a misdemeanor, then
Anything.
you'd see a lot of states open up and be a little looser with it.
But even in your state, especially down south, it's easier to grow at the home because of the temperature and the climate. No, don't get dude, make no mistake, if I go down there and I'm growing. Um, but
You can help out.
um uh the idea, like up here you can grow, I think I want to say 14 plants. I think it's 14 plants individually. So
Yeah.
in your garden with all your other shit, you can have those plants. Now I'm not buying anything. I'm taking that, and let me tell you about the medicinal purposes. So for stress, it definitely helps. That's a given. But again, and I said this before, and I'm going to say it again right now for those that are listening. It's not a drug like a party drug. It is not, unless you make it like that. Just like alcohol. Alcohol is not a problem unless you make it a problem. So with marijuana, a lot of times what it is you can I don't know how much I can actually disclose. There's people in my circle that have severe mental issues that were on 4 different medications that was ruining their stomach. One of the 4 was to counteract side effects from one of the other 3. And they
Yeah.
were constantly like nauseous. They didn't want to eat, or they got really thin or anything like that. They switched over to marijuana and they walked into a dispensary, a medical dispensary, when it was still only medical. And they got dialed in by a nurse and a doctor. They got really dialed in as to what you want in indica, sativa, percentage, CBD. All of that can be combined, and you know what you need, and you know what you can smoke. My wife, you know what? My wife has lupus, very bad form of lupus. Instead of taking 13 pills a day, she opted to do cannabis and 4 pills, and she's actually living a great life. Now, does she spend the entire day stoned? No, she doesn't spend the entire day stoned. What she does do, though, is when she goes to bed at night, and let me tell you something, Free. I don't know if I ever told this to you. The percentage that she gets from the dispensary, I cannot smoke. It is like, that's couch lock. I am done for the night. I can't game. I
Yeah.
can't do anything. But it takes away her pain and gives her enough pain relief to be able to sleep throughout the night. That's
Yeah.
important. I know a lot of people have bipolar disorder that have switched over to cannabis, got dialed in at a dispensary. Now they're not taking pills. And as we told you before, Fremo and I cannot stand big pharma. They are a
Yeah.
fucking problem. And the fact that we're taking away money from big pharma, that's a plus in my book. And it's
Yep.
nature grown. You know, you want to get into the religious aspect, God made it. You know, it's in the ground. We found it in tombs in Egypt. So they were using it way back then. It's always been a thing. The Indians, the Native
It
Americans
is
have
a
used it.
it is a seed bearing plant.
Yeah, it's not a bad thing. So that's really all I have this week. Do you have anything else this week, Free?
No, it's been. I mean, there hasn't been a lot of stuff going on.
No.
We're just kind of in the same slump we've been in for a while now in the news. I did just look up that May 2nd of this year,
Yeah.
Tennessee has passed. It has not been signed by the governor yet, but Tennessee has passed a law which is to create regulations on producing, selling, and distributing products containing hemp-derived cannabinoids. So that's a step.
It's a start. It's a start. Yeah. Yeah. It's not getting you weed, but it's a start. Because they're going to show that people aren't buying the hemp and boiling it over and making brownies, then it's a start. But
yeah, so that's step one.
yep, closer to me moving down there. All right, that's it for this week. I want to thank Jaded Zodiac for being in the chat room today and adding value to the podcast.
Absolutely.
You got anything else?
No.
All right, that's it for this week. Tense down. Show's over.
Whoop, whoop.
Wow. Hey, how about hitting the wrong buttons consistently?
So you can find more of this garbage at bgfgonline.com. You can also send us an email with your questions or suggestions at bgfgshow@gmail.com. Find our podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Overcast, Podcast, Castro, Castbox, Podchaser, and YouTube. Thank you for listening.
And we're off. So,